Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sebastian. Today I wanted to talk about xenophobia. For those of you who don't know, xenophobia is the fear of foreigners, or people who aren't from your country, and probably people who aren't from your country who don't look like you, okay? So the reason I'm making this video is because it occurred to me last night as I was just taking some time to think that even though I consider myself a pretty cultured person, you know, I've lived in a couple of different places now, I've learned different languages, and I even have a multicultural background. A couple of years back, I wasn't anywhere near as open-minded or conscious of this stuff, right? In fact, I would even say that I used to be pretty xenophobic. So I can remember even as far back as when I was 9 years old or something. My parents enrolled me in a Saturday morning German school. And you've probably heard of something like this before, right? If it's not German school, it's Chinese school, it's Spanish school, or something like that on Saturday mornings, where an organization of teachers will rent out or get permission to use a local school, and then you'll go there for 3 hours in the morning or whatever, right? And I didn't take that very seriously for a number of years until I actually went to Germany, and then I kind of reignited my interest in learning the language. But it wasn't just that, it was everything. I didn't identify with anything that was being taught. I didn't identify with the people, the teachers. I would even say I was resistant to it. I just wanted to speak English. I didn't care to learn German. How was that going to help me, right? Of course, I'm a 9-year-old kid, right? I had no foresight. But there were plenty of other situations where, now that I look back on it, you know, I could have made some really great friends, but instead, my xenophobia got in the way, even in high school, right? There were plenty of kids from different countries that I could have gotten to know better, but I didn't. And in fact, I thought that they were weird, and that it would be kind of a blow to my image if I were to be seen with them. And that's just, you know, teenage stuff, right? Afraid of how your peer group will judge you and all this stuff, right? I guess now as an adult, it's also kind of easier to get over those things because, well, at least me personally, because I just don't give a fuck. I'll hang out with anyone if they're a decent person, right? If they're fun. Another reason why I'm making this video is because you might be kind of in the same position where you're traveling, you're going to different places, and you're pretty open-minded. You want to learn about other cultures, you are respectful and whatnot, right? But the thing is, a lot of people are xenophobic. A lot of people don't ever travel anywhere. They don't even leave their home state or province, let alone their country, right? So for you to travel somewhere else and rent an apartment, a house, an Airbnb, whatever, stay there and then kind of try to blend in, it's not as easy as you might think it is. Just like, if you haven't done this yet and you're considering it, I'm just telling you, okay? You might think it's gonna be all hunky-dory and you're gonna get along great with the locals. You might, right? Don't let me change your views to something more pessimistic. Don't let me kind of give you, kind of dampen your spirits here. But I also don't think you should be going into any of these situations with rose-colored glasses on, because the reality is, especially if you're going to a place where people look different than you do, they have different skin color, they have different body types, they have a different religion, it's not going to be that easy, right? And a lot of people are going to think the same way as I did back in the day. They're going to look at you and they're going to think you're weird, and they're going to think that you don't speak their language, you don't understand them. Even if you can speak the language, you probably aren't going to be able to mix in with them and pick up on slang and subtle social cues and whatnot. See, when you're watching this in English, I'm going to assume English is your native language. When you talk with your friends and with your family, you automatically use certain terms and slang and expressions that another native English speaker will know. But it's very obvious when you speak to someone whose native language is not English that they're not going to understand those things, right? So that's why you kind of need to simplify what you say and make sure that you, instead of using colloquial terms, that you explain things in a more straightforward manner, right? But that's the thing, that's something that I have learned after having interacted with people from different cultures and speaking different languages. But when you go to a different country, especially when you deal with people who for the most part are just uneducated and again have never left their home country, they've never experienced living amongst foreigners and learning a foreign language or anything like that, it's not going to occur to them in many cases to even consider those things, right? So just be prepared. Be prepared to, be prepared for people to not necessarily like you or want anything to do with you just based on the way you look. Just because they might be afraid of you, they might think that you're weird, that they won't be able to get along with you, right? And in some cases you can break the ice, right? You can start conversations with people, get to know them, and then you realize that, hey, we actually have a lot more in common than we thought. But in other cases, it's just not going to work. So my number one piece of advice, and basically the main point of this video, is to, well, it's twofold. Firstly, don't be too optimistic. Don't think that, oh yeah, the locals are going to be so nice and blah blah blah, because they might not be. And then secondly, the point here is that you should consider and keep in mind that people might not intentionally be ignoring you, or they might not intentionally be mean and nasty to you. It literally just, it doesn't occur to them, right? And if your language abilities are good enough, right, if you can communicate with these people, then you might be able to get over those things, and then those people might realize that, oh, hey, this guy or this girl is actually pretty cool. Like they understand what's going on, even though they don't speak the language fluently. We can still communicate, right? So, yeah, that'll be it, guys. I hope this is helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.